Imagine answering a job ad that promises a dream career abroad only to find yourself trapped in a nightmare far from home. How do people fall into these sophisticated traps, and what do they endure in their struggle to break free? Today, we unravel the unbelievable true story of human trafficking in Thailand, a story filled with deception, courage, and survival. In this video, we'll explore the harrowing journey of innocent individuals lured by the promise of high paying jobs only to be ensnared in a web of exploitation and abuse. What tactics do traffickers use to manipulate their victims, and how do these victims find the strength to escape against all odds? Stay with us as we dive deep into this dark and shocking reality, shedding light on the resilience of those who have survived and the relentless efforts to bring justice to these hidden crimes. This is a story that needs to be heard, a story that could save lives. Human trafficking is one of the most heinous crimes, often hidden in plain sight, but the story we're about to tell you is beyond imagination. Picture this: individuals from across Southeast Asia, desperate for a better future, are lured by the promise of lucrative jobs in Thailand. They dream of lifting their families out of poverty, but what awaits them is a living nightmare. The tale we'll unfold today is not just a story of crime, it's a story of wild, almost unbelievable twists and turns. It's about deception so intricate that it ensnares even the most cautious. It's about victims who face unimaginable hardships and yet, against all odds, find the strength to fight back and survive. What you're about to hear is a gripping account of manipulation, betrayal, and ultimate survival. We'll reveal how traffickers skillfully disguise their traps, making it nearly impossible for their victims to realize the danger until it's too late. Yet, within this dark narrative, we'll uncover stories of incredible courage and resilience. This is a journey through the darkest corners of human nature, but it's also a testament to the unbreakable spirit of those who refuse to be defeated. Imagine receiving an offer that seems too good to be true. That's exactly what happened to countless individuals across Southeast Asia. They were promised high paying jobs in Thailand, jobs that would not only provide for their families, but also elevate their living standards to levels they had only dreamed of. These offers came with the allure of luxurious accommodations, complete with all the amenities one could wish for. It was a golden ticket out of poverty, and it seemed like a once in a lifetime opportunity. The job advertisements were everywhere on social media, in local newspapers, and spread through word of mouth. They showcased beautiful pictures of modern apartments, bustling city life, and testimonials from supposed employees who had found success and happiness in Thailand. The offers included jobs in various sectors such as hospitality, construction, and manufacturing, promising not just a decent wage, but salaries that were significantly higher than what was available in their home countries. For many, the decision was straightforward. They were struggling to make ends meet, and this seemed like a beacon of hope. The thought of sending their children to better schools, providing healthier food, and living in a comfortable home was irresistible. The initial reactions were a mix of excitement, relief, and a touch of skepticism. After all, it did seem too perfect. But the professionalism of the recruiters and the apparent legitimacy of the offers quickly dispelled any doubts. Families gathered whatever resources they had, sometimes selling their possessions or borrowing money to cover the costs of travel and agency fees. The recruiters made the process seem seamless. They arranged visas, transportation, and even provided advance money to cover initial expenses. Everything was designed to build trust and ensure that the victims would commit fully to the move. As departure day approached, there was a palpable sense of hope and anticipation. Tearful goodbyes were exchanged, but they were underpinned by the promise of a brighter future. Each individual left with dreams of prosperity and a determination to make the most of this golden opportunity. Little did they know they were stepping into a meticulously crafted trap, one that would shatter their hopes and challenge their will to survive. As the victims touched down in Thailand, their excitement was palpable. The airport was bustling with activity, and the initial reception they received was warm and professional. Smartly dressed agents greeted them with smiles, reassurances, and promises of a smooth transition to their new lives. Everything appeared legitimate from the official looking documents they were handed to the comfortable transportation that awaited them. Their first impressions were overwhelmingly positive. They were taken to what seemed like legitimate offices where they signed employment contracts and were given detailed itineraries. The accommodations initially provided were clean and well maintained, adding to the illusion that they had made the right choice. The victims were lulled into a false sense of security by the friendly demeanor and apparent professionalism of the agents. However, this facade quickly began to crumble. Once the formalities were completed, the victims were transported to remote locations far from the bustling cities they had seen in the advertisements. These places were often in isolated rural areas, devoid of the modern conveniences they had been promised. The true nature of their situation began to reveal itself. Upon arrival at these remote destinations, the victims' passports were immediately confiscated under the pretense of safekeeping or official processing. This act stripped them of their freedom and marked the beginning of their entrapment. Without their passports, they were effectively prisoners in a foreign land. The conditions they found themselves in were harsh and unforgiving. The luxurious accommodations turned out to be overcrowded and squalid housing, often with inadequate sanitation and minimal access to basic necessities. The promised high salaries evaporated, replaced by long hours of grueling labor for little to no pay. Any complaints or attempts to escape were met with threats and intimidation, sometimes even violence. The victims quickly realized they had been deceived. The friendly agents who had once assured them of a bright future now showed their true colors, revealing a callous disregard for their well being. The reality of their situation hit hard. They were trapped in a nightmare with no easy way out. Faced with these brutal conditions, the victims had to rely on their resilience and resourcefulness to survive. Each day was a struggle filled with fear and uncertainty. The dream of a better life had turned into a desperate fight for survival in an unfamiliar and hostile environment. Life under captivity was a relentless cycle of fear, pain, and despair for the victims. Each day they awoke to the grim reality of their situation, forced to endure grueling work hours under the harshest conditions. The tasks assigned were physically demanding and unending, designed to break their spirits and strip away any semblance of hope. The psychological torment was as severe as the physical abuse. The captors used intimidation, threats, and manipulation to maintain control. Victims were constantly reminded of their helplessness, with captors often brandishing their confiscated passports as a symbol of their captivity. Isolation from the outside world deepened their despair, as communication with family or friends was strictly forbidden or severely monitored. Physical abuse was rampant. Beatings, starvation, and deprivation of basic needs were common tactics to enforce submission. Any sign of resistance or defiance was met with brutal punishment. The captors ensured that the victims lived in a constant state of terror, breaking them down mentally and physically to prevent any thoughts of escape. Despite the overwhelming odds, some victims attempted to break free from their nightmarish existence. These attempts were met with severe repercussions. Those who tried to escape faced immediate and violent retaliation. Beatings were often accompanied by threats of even harsher punishments or death. The captors made examples of escapees, publicly humiliating and punishing them to dissuade others from attempting the same. The psychological warfare extended to creating distrust among the captives. Informants were planted within the group, and any whisper of an escape plan was swiftly reported. This sowed seeds of paranoia, making it nearly impossible for the victims to unite and plan a collective escape. The sense of isolation deepened, as victims could not even trust their fellow captives. Daily life became a survival game where every action was carefully calculated to avoid the wrath of the captors. The victims had to navigate a fine line between submission and maintaining their sanity. Small acts of defiance, like stealing extra food or secretly communicating with fellow captives, became acts of rebellion that offered brief moments of solace. Health deteriorated rapidly under such conditions. Malnutrition, untreated injuries, and illnesses were rampant, yet medical care was virtually non existent. The captors viewed the victims as expendable commodities, and any who fell severely ill were either left to suffer or discarded without a second thought. The emotional toll was immense. Many victims struggled with depression, anxiety, and hopelessness. The constant abuse and deprivation chipped away at their mental fortitude, leaving deep psychological scars. Some succumbed to the pressure, their spirits broken beyond repair, while others clung desperately to the hope of rescue or escape. Amidst this daily ordeal, the victims' resilience was their greatest strength. Acts of kindness, solidarity, and secretive support among captives provided glimmers of hope. These moments of humanity, though rare, were a lifeline in the otherwise bleak landscape of their existence. Every day was a test of endurance. The victims were trapped in a cycle of suffering with no clear end in sight. Yet, the human spirit's capacity for survival is formidable. Even in the darkest times, the victims found ways to endure, holding on to the slimmest threads of hope that one day their nightmare would end and they would regain their freedom. For some, the nightmare finally began to crack when a chance for escape presented itself. These brave souls seized the opportunity, often risking their lives in the process. Successful escapes were a testament to the victims' resilience and resourcefulness, their stories serving as beacons of hope for those still trapped. One such escape involved a small group of captives who managed to break free under the cover of darkness. They had carefully studied the captor's routines, identifying a brief window of vulnerability. With stealth and determination, they navigated through perilous terrain, evading guards and security measures. The journey was fraught with danger, each step a battle against fear and exhaustion. In another instance, a victim managed to slip a message to a sympathetic local detailing their plight. This act of desperation set off a chain of events, mobilizing local authorities and international organizations. Swift, coordinated efforts led to a daring rescue operation. The authorities raided the location, freeing the captives and apprehending the perpetrators. These rescues were often complex and risky, requiring meticulous planning and cooperation. The role of local authorities and international organizations was crucial in these escapes. Local law enforcement, when alerted, took decisive action despite the risks involved. Their efforts were often supported by international organizations dedicated to combating human trafficking. These organizations provided resources, expertise, and diplomatic pressure, facilitating the rescue operations and ensuring the victims received the care they needed post escape. The emotional and physical toll on the survivors was immense. Physically, they were often malnourished, injured, and in dire need of medical attention. The harsh conditions had left lasting scars, and recovery was a long, arduous process. Medical teams worked tirelessly to address their immediate needs, while rehabilitation programs aimed to restore their health and strength. Emotionally, the journey to recovery was even more complex. The trauma of captivity, coupled with the fear and uncertainty of their escape, left deep psychological wounds. Many survivors suffered from PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Counseling and support services became critical in helping them process their experiences and rebuild their lives. These services aim to restore a sense of normalcy, providing a safe space for survivors to heal and regain their dignity. Survivors often faced the daunting task of reintegrating into society. They had to rebuild their lives from scratch, dealing with the stigma and emotional baggage of their ordeal. Support networks, both local and international, played a crucial role in this process. Community outreach, vocational training, and continued psychological support were essential in helping them regain their independence and self worth. The emotional reunion with families, when possible, marked a significant milestone in their recovery. These moments were bittersweet, filled with joy and relief, but also the pain of lost time and the lingering effects of their trauma. Families too required support to navigate the complex emotions and challenges of welcoming back their loved ones. Despite the immense challenges, these survivors' stories of escape and resilience are powerful reminders of the human spirit's capacity to endure and overcome. Their courage inspires ongoing efforts to combat human trafficking, highlighting the importance of vigilance, support, and international cooperation in eradicating this heinous crime. The harrowing escapes marked only the beginning of a long road to justice. Ongoing investigations aimed to dismantle the intricate human trafficking network that had ensnared so many innocent lives. Authorities worked tirelessly to identify and apprehend every individual involved, from the recruiters to the enforcers. International cooperation was vital, with agencies across borders pooling resources and intelligence. Support and rehabilitation for the survivors became a top priority. Specialized organizations provided medical care, psychological counseling, and vocational training to help them rebuild their lives. These efforts were crucial in restoring their dignity and independence. Survivor stories were shared to raise awareness, breaking the silence surrounding human trafficking. A call to action for viewers: be vigilant, spread awareness, and support anti trafficking efforts. Every voice counts in this fight. Let's ensure that no one else falls victim to such heinous crimes. This story of deception, captivity, and survival sheds light on the dark reality of human trafficking. The resilience and courage of the survivors remind us of the human spirit's unyielding strength. Their experiences underscore the urgent need to combat this global crisis. Human trafficking leaves indelible scars, but it also galvanizes us to act. By staying informed, supporting anti trafficking initiatives, and advocating for justice, we can make a difference. Together, we can help prevent future tragedies and support those on their path to recovery. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative and impactful, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Your support amplifies our message and helps us continue our mission to raise awareness and fight against human trafficking.